Arizona, the chairman of the Subcommittee on Constitution and Civil Justice, Mr. Franks, for 5 minutes.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. General, we're glad to have you here today. I'm going to kind of shift gears here a little bit and be a little bit philosophical and kind of reflect on the notion as to why we're really all here today and why we're really all here in this place. I think, as I noticed earlier, the Mel Watts' little grandchild was symbolic in a sense of what we all hope to try to protect in the future. And I have a little boy at home, 4 years old, and I think it's very important that we keep a statesman's eye on the future and recognize with all the politics that are inevitable with the challenges that we face, we need to kind of keep an eye on why we're all here. You know, this notion of America that all of us are created equal, that all of us are God's children and should be protected is a pretty important thing. And I know as the nation's chief law enforcement officer, in a sense, that occurs to you as well. And it just seems to contrast pretty significantly with what we heard here in the last few months about a guy named Kermit Gosnell, who ran an abortion clinic and aborted late-term babies. And if they survived, he would proceed to cut their spines with scissors. And somehow I don't know when we are going to ask ourselves if that's who we really are. I suppose the unique thing about it is that it's not all that unique. While we might sanitize the clinics and other places, about 18,000 babies a year, 20 weeks or older, are aborted in this country. And that's the Guttmacher Institute's quotes. And there are about 44,000 abortion survivors living in the country today. So this is not as unique as it might be. And though we might sanitize the clinics in the future, I don't know how we can sanitize the horror and inhumanity that is forced upon these little babies. Now, I guess my first question would be along the lines, where is our president on this subject? But unfortunately, I already know that answer. He voted against the Born Alive Infant Protection Act when he was in his home state several times. And so I already know where he is. So the question today is, as a law enforcement officer, you know, we've passed the Born Alive Infant Protection Act on the federal level. And it says in part, the words person, human being, child, and individual shall include every infant member of the Homo sapiens species who is born alive at any stage of development. Now, I'm almost to my question, Mr. Attorney General, but I will just remind you that there was a lady named Ashley Baldwin that worked for Kermit Gosnell, and she described one of these little babies that was breathing. She said, described him as around 2 feet long, who, because of the process, didn't have an eyes, and had no eyes or mouth, but was making this little screeching noise. She said it sounded like a little alien. And sometimes I just wonder if we really could back up as a society and ask ourselves what it's going to take to change our mind on some of these kinds of tragedies. So my question to you, and it's a sincere question, and I hope you take it so. In 2002, Congress enacted the Born Alive Infant Protection Act, and it provides that all federal protections, including from your office, sir, for persons apply to every infant born alive. So will you enforce the Born Alive Infant Protection Act as Attorney General, and will you consider carefully what's happening in clinics across the country, like happened at the clinic that Kermit Gosnell ran?
Well, like you, I share many of the concerns that you talked about. I'm a father. I have 3 kids, and I'm interestingly married to a woman who is an obstetrician, a gynecologist, very accomplished in her field. I have responsibilities as Attorney General to enforce all the laws that Congress passed.
Have you ever enforced this law even one time?
I don't know what I mean.
Will you get back to us on that? Have you ever enforced the Born Alive Infant Protection Act even one time?
We can examine that and see whether the U.S. attorneys since the law was passed, you said in 2002?
Yes.
How many prosecutions there have been under that law?
Well, there's been 18,000 opportunities a year since then, approximately. So I'm just wondering if you've even enforced it once.
I don't know whether there was enforcement during the Bush administration or the Obama administration since the passage of the law in 2002. I just don't know what the statistics are.
Well, I guess I hear the mantra so often that, that somehow this is choice. But to stand by in silence while the most helpless of all children are torturously and agonizingly dismembered day after day after day, year after year, Mr. General, is quite honestly a heartless disgrace that really can't be described by the vocabulary of man. And I hope you consider that carefully, sir.
The chair thanks the gentleman for his line of questioning and comments, and now recognizes the gentleman